Good morning. I hereby call to order this 7th meeting of the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission for the year 2022, and I ask that you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to everyone that is here with us today and to those that are watching us via live stream. At today's meeting, which is open to the public, the Commission will act on various matters. Just as a reminder, there's no opportunity for the public to address the Commission at these public meetings. The public meeting motions, statements, and video will be available on the Commission's website later today. So our first matter on this morning's agenda is the approval of the minutes for April 14, 2022. And I will call upon Vice Chairman Coleman, who is the editor of the minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. I have reviewed the minutes of the April 14, 2022 public meeting, and I move that they be approved as submitted.
You have heard the motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Yonora. If I'm sure there's no further discussion or edits. So all those in favor and approval of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved, 3-0. And now we will turn it over to our Secretary, Rosemary Chiavetta, who will lead us through this morning's agenda.
Good morning, Madam Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Your bureaus and offices have prepared the following agenda items for your consideration. Therefore, let us begin on page 1 with matters presented by Director Monahan and the Bureau of Audits. It is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on page 1, beginning with the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Audit Report of the Duquesne Light Company and ending the omnibus with the Universal Service Charge Audit Report of the Duquesne Light Company.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Yonora. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
Turning to page 2, it is recommended that the Commission adopt and release the Management and Operations Audit Report and Implementation Plan of the First Energy Companies in Pennsylvania.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Yonora. Any discussion? I do have comments that I asked be placed upon the record in their entirety as if I read them in their entirety. Before the Commission is the Management and Operations Audit Report for the 4 First Energy EDC, which includes MedEd, Penelec, Penn Power, and West Penn, along with its accompanying recommendations, the company's implementation plan, and the secretarial letter releasing the audit report. The audit report was released to the First Energy Companies on March 31st, 2022, and contained 27 recommendations. The companies submitted their implementation plan on April 21st, 2022. The implementation plan indicated acceptance of 17 recommendations, partial acceptance of 8 recommendations, and rejection of 2 recommendations. The implementation plan, as proffered by the companies, projects resultant annual savings of approximately $39 million, accompanied by projected one-time savings in the range of 13 to 22 million. I want to thank Bureau of Audits for its diligent work. As part of the report, the Commission reviewed the company's current response related to alleged illicit business dealings by its affiliate in Ohio. The companies indicate that they are cooperating in investigations conducted by the United States Attorney's Office, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. During the audit, the Commission sought to ensure that any costs stemming from these ongoing investigations and the fallout from business decisions made by the company's affiliates will not be allocated to Pennsylvania ratepayers in the future. The management audit discloses that the companies have not made any such guarantee. In that same vein, these ongoing investigations have temporarily affected the First Energy Company's credit ratings. On October 29, 2020, Standard & Poor's downgraded the company's credit ratings. Subsequently, on November 24, 2020, the company's credit ratings were again downgraded. Such ratings have a direct impact on rates of interest the First Energy Companies must pay on their various credit and debt instruments, as well as the types of debt and creditor vehicles accessible. This audit report details higher interest short-term borrowing that the companies realized. Further, the audit report notes that for the period from November 2020 through May 2021, West Penn, Med-Ed, and Penn Power incurred approximately $1.6 million, $100.6 million, $800,000, and $200,000 respectively in additional interest expenses due to the credit rating downgrades. As this report states, Pennsylvania ratepayers should not be burdened with these increased costs due to ongoing investigations. Finally, the report reveals that the company's service agreement filed with and approved by the Commission does not include all goods and services currently provided by its service affiliate. Of particular interest, the audit report details services rendered by the First Energy Service Company, flight operations, and expensed to the companies. From 2018 through 2020, Med-Ed paid $1.8 million, Penelec paid $1.9 million, Penn Power paid $486,000, and West Penn Power paid $2.1 million for flights and services rendered by First Energy Service Company's Flight Operations Department. As stated in the audit report, all utilities with service company affiliates should have a service agreement that completely discloses all goods and services provided. In closing, these findings, along with other findings not highlighted in this statement, but nonetheless continued in the audit report, make the action taken by the Commission today anything but business as usual. It is my hope that the First Energy Companies heed the sound recommendation highlighted herein and throughout this audit report. Any further discussion or comments on this case? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
And finally, on page 2, it is recommended that the Commission adopt and release the default generation supply service audit report of UGI's Electric Division.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Yonora. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
Turning to page 3, and matters presented by Director Bechtel and the Bureau of Consumer Services. It is recommended in an omnibus motion that the Commission adopt both items on page 3, beginning with the Universal Service and Energy Conservation Plan for the PECO Energy Company, and ending the omnibus with the Universal Service and Energy Conservation Plan of UGI's Gas and Electric Divisions.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Yonora. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
Turning to page 4, it is recommended that the notational vote regarding the Universal Service and Energy Conservation Charge of National Fuel Gas, consistent with 4 PA Code, Section 1.43C, this action be recorded and entered in the minutes of this public meeting.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Yonora. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
Continuing on page 4, it is recommended in an omnibus motion that the Commission adopt the two remaining items on page 4, the energy conservation plans of the Philadelphia Gas Works and the Pico Energy Company, respectively.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Yunora. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
Turning to page 5, it is recommended by Executive Director Mendelson and the Office of Executive Director that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order regarding proposed modifications when reviewing voluntarily negotiated interconnection agreements.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Yunora. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
Turning to page 6 and matters presented by Director Sophie and the Office of Special Assistance, it is recommended in an omnibus motion that the Commission adopt both items on page 6, beginning with the petition filed by UGI's Electric Division, and continuing the omnibus on page 7 to include both items on page 7, ending the omnibus with the application of PennDOT.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Yunora. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
Turning to page 8, it is recommended that, consistent with 4 PA Code, Section 1.43C, the Commission's notational vote regarding the application of PennDOT be recorded and entered in the minutes of this public meeting.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Yunora. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
Continuing on page 8, it is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion the formal complaint of Glen Riddle Station versus Sunoco Pipeline LP, and continue the omnibus on page 9 to include both items on page 9 and both items on page 10, ending the omnibus with the formal complaint of Mary Morrow versus the Pico Energy Company Electric Division.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Yunora. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
Turning to page 11, and matters presented by Director Diskin and the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, it is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on page 11, beginning with the application of PennDOT, and continuing the omnibus to include all 3 items on page 12, and ending the omnibus with the first item on page 13, the application of the York Water Company.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Yunora. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
Continuing on page 13, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed order regarding the annual recalculation of the Pennsylvania Relay Surcharge.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Yunora. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair, a motion on the matter.
Commissioner Yunora.
I ask that my motion be entered into the record as if I read it in its entirety. The Telecommunication Relay Service Fund, or TRS, is running a massive surplus. I understand that the surplus is so large that a full funding would remain in place for approximately 7 years, even without a surcharge. It would be unreasonable to maintain the overcollection year after year without recognition of the effects on our ratepayers. While I fully support access to TRS programs, I nevertheless do not support continued overcollections. Because of the TRS surcharge is set on an annual basis, any need for further funding can be addressed in the near term. For this reason, I believe that TRS surcharge should be reduced to zero for the next funding year. Therefore, I move that for a period of August 1st, 2022 through July 31st, 2023, that the TRS surcharge rate for residential and business access lines should be set to 0 cents per month, and the Bureau of Technical Utility Services shall prepare an order consistent with this motion. Thank you.
You have heard the motion of Commissioner Yunora. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chairman Coleman. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0. On the matter as amended, is there any objection to taking the previous roll call? Seeing no objection, the matter as amended passes 3-0.
Continuing on page 13, it is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion the remaining item on page 13, the tentative order canceling certain suppliers' licenses, and continuing the omnibus to include all three items on page 14, all three items on page 15, both items on page 16, all three items on page 17, both items on page 18, and including the first two items on page 19, ending the omnibus with the tariff supplement filed by the PECO Energy Company's Electric Division.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Yunora. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
Continuing on page 19, it is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion the last item on page 19, the Price Stability Index Service Price Index Report of Windstream Buffalo Valley, and continuing the omnibus on page 20 to include all three items on page 20, the Price Stability Index Service Price Index Reports of Windstream Conestoga, Windstream D&E, and Windstream Pennsylvania LLC, and then, skipping ahead to page 22 of the agenda, to include in this omnibus motion the top item appearing on page 22, the Price Stability Index Service Price Index Report of Consolidated Communications of Pennsylvania. It should be noted for the record, Madam Chairman, that the Bureau of Technical Utility Services has revised the recommended orders for all 5 of these docketed cases to reflect that formal complaints were filed by the Office of Small Business Advocate subsequent to staff's timely submittal of these agenda items to the Secretary on June 7, 2022 for today's public meeting. Therefore, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the omnibus motion and note the revisions to the agenda for the record.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Yunora. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
Now turning to page 21. It is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion all 3 items appearing on page 21 and continuing the omnibus on page 22 to include the second item on page 22, the tariff supplement in PA-PUC versus Columbia Gas of Pennsylvania, and continuing the omnibus on page 23 to include all 3 items on page 23, and both items on page 24, and both items on page 25, ending the omnibus with the tentative order canceling the certificates of public convenience of certain motor carriers.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Yunora. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
Turning to page 26, and matters presented by Chief Administrative Law Judge Rainey and the Office of Administrative Law Judge. It is recommended that the Commission adopt ALJ Buckley's recommended decision in the complaint of the Office of Consumer Advocate and Small Business Advocate versus Verizon Pennsylvania LLC and Verizon North LLC.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Unora. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
Continuing on page 26, it is recommended that the Commission adopt ALJ Dunderdale's initial decision in the formal complaint of Kim Wilkes versus the Duquesne Light Company.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Unora. Any discussion?
Chairman, I do have a motion on this matter.
Vice Chairman Coleman.
Thank you. I'd ask that my motion be entered in the record as though I read it in its entirety. Before the Commission is the initial decision issued on March 28th that denied in part and granted in part a formal complaint filed by Kim Wilkes against Duquesne Light Company. I will be moving that we adopt the initial decision as modified by this motion. The formal complaint was sustained to the extent that the presiding ALJ determined that the complainant should be served under Duquesne's residential service rate known as Rate RS, as opposed to its residential service heating rate known as Rate RH. RH is available to customers who use electricity as the sole primary method of space heating in their homes. The complainant testified that she had an oil furnace installed in her home in 2019 and stopped using the electric furnace. This testimony was supported by the significant reduction in the complainant's billed electricity usage starting in 2019. Duquesne does not dispute that an oil furnace was installed or that the complainant's consumption of electricity subsequently declined. Duquesne's attorney summarized its witness position on why the complaint was not transferred to the RS rate in 2019. The complainant is being billed in accordance with the RH or residential heating rate, which is the correct rate for a customer who had hardwired electric furnaces installed in her property, as indicated in the hearing today, but is also the most beneficial rate for the customer. A commission-approved tariff has the force of law and is binding on both the utility and the customer. Section 1303 of the Public Utility Code does not permit a utility to deviate from the tariffed rate, even when such action might appear to benefit the customer. However, Section 1303 also imposed an obligation on the public utility to compute bills under the most advantageous rate when more than one rate is available to the customer. It appears that Duquesne believed that the complainant service was eligible for both RH and RS and chose to compute its bill under the RH as using this rate was, quote, most advantageous, end quote, to her. However, a review of the tariff language does not support Duquesne's interpretation of the tariff. Duquesne's tariff states that the RH rate is available to residential and combined residential and farm customers using the company's standard low voltage service for lighting and appliance operation, general household purpose, and for commercial and professional activity where associated consumption represents less than 25% of the total monthly usage at the premise, and as the sole primary method of space heating, except that the space heating system may be supplemented with renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, wood, or hydro. The testimony before the Commission is that electricity was not the, quote, sole primary method of space heating, end quote, of some time in 2019. Instead, the complainant testified that she installed an oil furnace in 2019 and stopped using the electric furnace. Duquesne's failure to reassign the customer to the RS rate in 2019 was therefore a violation of both the tariff and the Section 1303 of the Public Utility Code. The complainant was no longer eligible for RH, and Duquesne should have reassigned her to RS rate when it was received notice of her actual service conditions. The reassignment should have been made not because of the complainant's preference for RS, but because she was no longer eligible for service under the RH rate. It is necessary to consider whether a civil penalty is appropriate. I find that no civil penalty should be imposed for the following reasons, including but not limited to: 1, Duquesne believed that it was following the tariff; 2, that the error was limited to one customer; and 3, the complainant experienced no financial hardship for the mistake. The record indicates a pattern of zealous, if mistaken, behavior by Duquesne staff to assist this customer to achieve a lower bill. I encourage Duquesne to review with its staff the eligibility of customers for RH under the existing tariff and the requirements of Section 1303 of the Public Utility Code. Accordingly, I move that we adopt the initial decision as modified by this motion. Therefore, I move that the initial decision be modified as modified by this motion. The initial decision be adopted as modified by this motion, and the Office of Special Assistance prepare an opinion and order consistent with this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Coleman. You have heard the motion of Vice Chairman Coleman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Yunora. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0. On the matter as amended, is there any objection to taking a previous roll call? Hearing no objection, the matter as amended passes 3-0.
Madam Chairman, that concludes the regular agenda. Turning to the carry-in, on page 1 of the carry-in agenda, it is recommended by the Office of Special Assistance that, consistent with 4 PA Code, Section 1.43C, the notational vote of the Commission regarding the filing of petitions for reconsideration and clarification in PA-PUC versus Aqua, Pennsylvania, be recorded and entered in the minutes of this public meeting.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Yunora. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
Turning to page 2 of the carry-in, it is recommended by the Law Bureau that the Commission adopt the proposed order regarding the rulemaking for diversity reporting of major jurisdictional utilities.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Yunora. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
And turning to page 3 of the carry-in, there is the motion of Commissioner Yunora regarding a policy statement on public and private fire protection.
I recognize Commissioner Yunora for his motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a C motion to present this morning. I ask that my C motion be entered into the record as if I read it in its entirety. The fire protection role of the Commonwealth's regulated public water utilities is a matter of utmost public importance. Ensuring that regulated fire protection services offerings are safe, reasonable, and adequate is likewise a matter of highest concern of the Commission. Outlining the standards under which regulated fire protection services are offered, the public represents the worthwhile investment on the part of regulated utilities and the Commission. To foster the development of transparent, readily available fire protection guidelines, the Commission should coordinate the development of a policy statement reflecting the best practices approach of these aspects of fire protection services subject to Commission oversight. While fire protection services are often provided by Class A public water utilities, all regulated water utilities will benefit from a clear understanding of the up-to-date expectations regarding fire protection services. Further, the coordination and the consistent application of safe, adequate, and reliable fire protection services offers a tremendous benefit to public safety, emergency fire protection organizations, and associated personnel. To achieve this goal, the Commission should, as an initiation step, implement a policy statement addressing fire protection services provided by Class A public water utilities. Stakeholders should consider the following areas of development of the policy statement. 1, the hydraulic distribution system modeling required by fire protection, and 2, the fire protection services afforded by current system design requirements. Therefore, I move that 1, the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, in conjunction with the Law Bureau, prepare a secretarial letter consistent with this motion within 30 days of the adoption of this motion. 2, that comments in response to the secretarial letter referenced in paragraph 1 above shall be due within 60 days following the service of such secretarial letter to the Class A companies. And 3, that the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, in conjunction with the Law Bureau, prepare a proposed policy statement in response to the comments received in this matter for consideration at a public meeting no later than October 31st, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Unora. You've heard the C motion of Commissioner Unora. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Vice Chairman Coleman. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 3-0.
Madam Chairman and Commissioners, that concludes all agenda items to be considered today.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Before we close out today's meeting, I'd like to take a moment to recognize several important events that we will be celebrating over the next several weeks before we have our next public meeting. On June 19, 1865, is when Union soldiers reached Galveston, Texas, the furthest point in the South, with news of the end of the Civil War. Slaves were previously unaware that they had been freed more than 2 years earlier when President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, or that Confederate General Robert E. Lee had surrendered in Virginia 2 months earlier. It is with great pride that I convey that the PUC will once again join in the observance of June 19th, referred to as Juneteenth, National Freedom Day. To reiterate what Governor Wolf shared in his email to all employees, I encourage you to use this day to reflect and attend a local Juneteenth event to learn about this special holiday. The PUC also joins the Wolf administration in observing the month of June for LGBTQ+ Pride Month. Pride Month is a special occasion to honor the history of the LGBTQ+ liberation movement and a powerful reminder that our remarkable diversity is a gift that makes us all stronger. The PUC continues to support the rights of all citizens to experience equality and freedom from discrimination. And finally, in a few weeks, our nation will celebrate its birthday and Independence Day. I would like to wish a happy 4th of July to our entire PUC family. A couple of minutes ago, we stood together to say the Pledge of Allegiance. As we talk about Pride Month and Freedom Month, a few words of the pledge stand out in my mind as being so important to our country, with liberty and justice for all. While it takes at least a couple of weeks away, may all of you have a safe, healthy, and happy 4th of July. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I don't think there's any discussion on that motion to adjourn. Without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.